Hello friends, welcome back to the Saffron Box. Today I'll be talking about the transit of Rahu and Ketu, the upcoming transit of Rahu and Ketu. Right, so we know that Rahu is currently in the sign of Aries, it is conjunct with Jupiter also, and Ketu is in the sign of Libra. They're always 180 degrees apart, seventh house from each other. And on the 30th of October, next month, Rahu and Ketu will be changing their signs. So we'll be transiting into the next signs. They're always retrograde in motion. So from the sign of Aries, now Rahu is going to come to Pisces. From the sign of Libra, Ketu is going to move to Virgo. Right? So this is the upcoming transit, and the transit of Rahu and Ketu happens every 18 months, as most of us know, most of you all know. So whenever this transit occurs, usually there is a lot of curiosity. We want to know what it brings for us, and this happens, apart from Rahu and Ketu, it also happens with Jupiter, with Saturn. So whenever a slow moving planet makes a change, becomes retrograde, or it changes signs, it has a major conjunction somewhere, it casts a lot of effect, lot of impact on our lives, on our horoscope. And that is the reason that we need to understand what do these transits bring to us, right? So Rahu and Ketu, as we all know, are they are not physical planets. They are imaginary nodes. They are the points of intersection, right? So there is a story behind it. There's a mythological story behind how Rahu and Ketu came into existence. They are actually two parts of a demon called Swarabhanu, and that is the reason why Rahu is called the head, because this is the portion, the head upwards, neck upwards. This is what is Rahu, and the rest of the body is Ketu, right? So there is a video which I had made about 3-4 years back on the story of Rahu and Ketu. I'll pin that somewhere in the description section. Those of you who are interested can have a look. Right, so now the very reason that Rahu is the upper part. It has all the senses. It can see, it can hear, it can taste, it can eat. That means it can consume something, right? So it has desires, but it doesn't have the rest of the body. So it knows what it wants to consume, it knows what to take, but it doesn't know how much, right? So that is the reason why Rahu is called Rahu has the Maya element attached to it. So Rahu is that smoke, Rahu is that illusion, because it doesn't know where to stop. It doesn't know, it's unpredictable, because the rest of the body is not with it, right? And on the other hand, there is Ketu. The rest of the body is there, but the sensory, the sense of sight, the hearing, the talking isn't there. The rest of the body moves. So it also shows a sense of detachment. So wherever Ketu goes, I'll talk about it. What happens wherever Ketu transits, usually there's a sense of completion, or there's a sense of detachment. But wherever Rahu goes, there is a hunger, there is this desire, there is a pull factor towards that house, towards the significations of that house, towards the significations of that sign, and a lot of other things also get affected, right? So more or less, Rahu shows the area where the pull is coming. It's like it draws your energy, it draws your attention towards wherever it's transiting. And for that matter, even if you see your natal chart, wherever your Rahu is placed, you will see you get pulled towards that factor or towards that area in general. And more so when the dasha comes, more so when the antar dasha comes, when the bhukti comes, you get even more pulled towards whatever that house is signifying in your birth chart. towards whatever that sign is showing. So now this also I've covered, I've made a detailed playlist about Rahu and Ketu in all the houses, Rahu and Ketu in all the signs. So you can go check that out as well. It has really been liked by the subscribers, and you can always go and have a look there, right? So Rahu is also, whenever Rahu transits, Rahu and Ketu rather, when they transit, every 19th year is when they come back to that house or to that sign in your birth chart, right? So it takes 18 years because they transit a house in 18 months. So it takes them 18 full years to cover the whole horoscope, or to cover all the 12 signs. So in the 19th year is when Rahu comes back to its original position, and so does Ketu, right? So if you are in your 19th year, if you are in your 38th year, 54th year, or you are undergoing the 4th cycle, that is the 76th year. So these cycles, these periods of about 18 years are very important, because Rahu and Ketu are coming back to their original places. And when they come back to their original places or their natal positions, a lot of important events also get triggered, right? So I'll cover that, I'll see, and I'll talk about which all signs are getting impacted, what are the kind of events we can expect. But more so now about the kind of signs which Rahu and Ketu are going to be transiting in. So till now, Rahu was in the sign of Aries, Martian sign, the sign of beginnings. And now it comes back, retrogrades back, because since Rahu and Ketu are always in retrograde motion, comes into the sign of Pisces. So that ambition, that aggression, that fearlessness goes away. So there's a change of gears, there's a change of moods. Rahu comes to Pisces, which is part of the Moksha trine. It is a water sign. It is a sign of giving away. It is the sign where Venus exalts. So very high order thinking, high level of spirituality, high levels of giving away things, or letting go. So letting go of experiences, letting go of memories, letting go of objects around you. It can be letting go of any kind. So now Rahu in the sign of Pisces is going to enhance that letting go, emotion. And on the other side, we have Ketu. Now Ketu has been in the sign of Libra. So in general, since Libra is also the sign of relationships, the sign of business, there was a lot of dissatisfaction, which I've personally seen when I've done readings, because of Ketu being present in Libra, and that too if your natal Ketu is also afflicted, right? So a sense of dissatisfaction in your partnerships, in your business deals, in your relationships, in your marriage. Libra represents marriage as well. But now Ketu is coming back, coming into the sign of Virgo. So what does Ketu do here? Here the focus is going to be your health. Virgo is the sign of struggle in a way, because it is talking about overcoming your obstacles, anything which is opposing you, or anything which you have to overcome to grow, right? So that kind of an energy is what Ketu is going to be in. And also do remember that, whenever Rahu and Ketu, whenever they are transiting through, there are a few points which we have to remember. One, wherever Rahu goes, the spotlight is on that house, because Rahu is the planet of Maya, is the planet of illusion, of lot of expansion, sometimes crazy expansion, something which you cannot control, something which you have to be really mindful about. So Rahu puts the spotlight on the house, on the signification, on the sign. So anything related to that sign, that house, becomes a spotlight area. It's like you are standing on a stage and the spotlight is on the speaker. So that kind of a spotlight I'm talking about, comes to that house. And it affects a lot of live and non-life significations of that house, right? So if Rahu is transiting through the 4th house, so your relationship with your mother suddenly gets a lot of a spotlight again, or your property related transactions, your decisions regarding buying, selling vehicles, anything related to the 4th house, education matters, all these things come into spotlight, right? So the life, the non-life significations suddenly get a lot of spotlight, and there is usually a lot of smoke around the sign where Rahu is, right? So as I took the example of the 4th house, so Rahu transiting in the 4th house will bring a lot of focus on your relationship with your mother, on your properties, your conveyances, etc. But at the same point in time, it may also bring a lot of illusion. Sometimes you may find it difficult to understand these matters also. You may find difficulty in taking a decision regarding any of the non-life matters, specifically like a property or a conveyance or anything like that, right? So there's always a smoke screen which you have to work through, and a period of 18 months when Rahu transits through that sign, usually a person is busy trying to make his or her way through the smoke, right? Then also remember that wherever Rahu goes, whenever it's transiting over a natal planet, it is going to amplify that natal planet's energy also. So I've also made a video here where I've spoken about Rahu's transit over the natal planets. So for example, taking up the 4th house again, in your horoscope, say 4th house has Mercury, okay, and Rahu is transiting over Mercury. So then lot of things related to Mercury in the 4th house. So you have to add that mercurial factor also now. So that planet's energies also get amplified when Rahu transits over that natal planet. So these are the things which you have to keep in mind when you look at the transit of Rahu. And when you look at the transit of Ketu, always remember wherever Ketu transits, in whichever house, and the sign which is falling into that house, you have to see that as well. There are certain restrictions or blockages which you feel. See, I spoke about Ketu and a dog is barking in the background, right? So there is a certain amount of restriction or a blockage of energy which you feel. You feel things are not moving or moving very slow, or you feel dissatisfied with the way things are working regarding that house, right? So that is what Ketu produces in the transit of whichever house it is in. Then also there is a lot of, like how Rahu suddenly brings up a lot of material energy or Maya. So a lot of desires where it is, desires regarding the house it is transiting. In a similar manner, Ketu also ignites a lot of spiritual energy from wherever it is transiting. So you turn a little philosophical, or you kind of give up, or you try to understand things at a higher level. Or sometimes the spiritual angle gets ignited, right? So you get to understand what is the real reason behind I'm facing these blockages or these restrictions. So you tend to explore more, you go inwards and think more regarding that house. But the action happens where Rahu is transiting. So Ketu makes you go inwards, and Rahu makes you focus on wherever it is transiting. Right, so with this, I'll go ahead with the impact or the effect of Rahu and Ketu transiting through the signs of Pisces as well as Virgo. Rahu in Pisces and Ketu in Virgo, and what is going to be the impact of this particular transit on all the 12 signs, right? So starting with Aries, so if you have an Aries ascendant or an Aries moon, but I would rather talk about the Aries ascendant, as I always repeat that the ascendant or the physical body, the Sthul Sharir, is what actually does the actions. It is not the mind. The mind pushes you, but the physical body does the actions, right? So going ahead with Aries, if you have an Aries ascendant, Rahu is going to be moving into your 12th house. Ketu is going to be in your 6th house. And this is the natural horoscope, right? So you have Pisces in your 12th and Virgo in your 6th. Rahu here will ignite spiritual interests, learning about yourself, seeking some spiritual knowledge, moving away for a retreat, moving to isolated places, spending time alone, reflecting on your own, right? This would also be a time where you would want to let go of things, right? So if your Rahu is working on a higher plane, if you're a mature soul, you would let go of things which are no longer serving you. So it can be bad memories, it can be toxic people in your lives, it can be toxic experiences, something which you're just holding on like a baggage, doesn't serve you, just increases the weight on your back, right? So you know what I mean. So you let go of all such things. It is also a time where you could have a lot of unusual dreams. 12th house indicates your bedroom. So you could have a lot of unusual dreams, of things which are very unusual, very different, you've never seen before. So for some of you, it could also lead to very different kind of imagination. So if you are a person who's into creative writing, who's into doing something creative, this could make you come out with some very different out of the league ideas also. So utilize this energy is what I would say. Some of you may also like to make changes in their bedrooms. So you may like to change the decor of your bedroom. You may like to make changes, or some of you who are shifting their houses may change the bedroom, right? So there'll be changes regarding the bedroom. There'll be more, on a material plane, there could be more luxury items which you could purchase. So more indulgences when it comes to the bedroom, right? On the other side, Ketu here in the 6th house could give out that energy of, it could make an end to a lot of relationships. When I talk about relationships, 6th house is your maternal side, your maternal uncles, aunts, right? So relatives on the side of your mother, her siblings. So there could be, a closure of relationships, or there could be some issues, there could be some health issues which comes to these relatives, especially if you are in the 2nd or 3rd cycle of this Ketu return, right? So the first cycle, it may not apply much, but second cycle, third cycle, so end of a relationship, or some conflict which actually ends the relationship, where you don't turn back, you don't turn towards them at all. So these kind of things can happen. Medical or legal problems may come to an end, so you may find a solution towards a medical problem, right? There might be a solution to the legal problem, so there can be an end to opposition also. So whatever opposition you are facing, that comes to an end. If you are in your first cycle, that means you are in the 18th 19th year, you're 18 years old, then you may also, if other things are supporting in your chart, you may also beat the competition which you're facing. So you may get to write an exam very successfully. It may bring in victory or success in some competitive exams. This may also apply for people who are in their second cycle. That means you are somewhere around 36. So workplace competition can be beaten up, right? So these are the kind of things, kind of changes which you can expect from this Rahu Ketu transit, right? Then moving on to the next sign of Taurus. So if you are a Taurus ascendant, then Rahu is coming to your 11th house where the sign of Pisces falls, and Ketu is coming to your 5th house. Now this transit, is interesting. Rahu being a malefic. In fact, any planet, whether it is malefic or benefic, coming to the 11th house brings in some positivity. But Rahu coming to the 11th can give some, fulfillment of your desires. Some desires get fulfilled. And while they get fulfilled, some new desires come up. So you start thinking big and wishing for big things to happen. Your social circle expands, right? Social circle can expand. Your relationship with your elder sibling can grow. Opportunities can come through networking, through a lot of people. But sometimes these people can be a little difficult to understand also, right? So you have to be a little careful. As I mentioned at the beginning, wherever the life significations are concerned, be a little careful when you're stepping into a new circle, a new network. So try to read people properly before you trust them more. Also, with Ketu in the 5th house, this could put a strain on your relationship with your children, right? So this may change the kind of relationship which you have with your children. Also, some of you, who have younger children may need to watch out or keep an eye on their children, right? What are they doing? Whom are they mingling with? You may need to watch your children or be a little more careful regarding your children. Also, the 5th house is of creativity, of thinking afresh, of managing things around you. So you may start something new, or you may complete something which is already going on and start thinking of something new happening. This is also a good time to wrap up your projects which were pending for a long time, right? So if you have something which is pending for a long time, which requires your skill, which requires your efficiency, which requires push from you, if you are the one who has been going slow on things, complete it so that a new cycle can start. Some of you may also, start praying to their deities, praying regularly, start doing mantra sadhana, because the 5th house is also the house of mantra sadhana. Fifth house is the house of your Isht Dev as well. So some prayers you may become regular with. You may start visiting your deity or visiting your, whichever religion, whichever sect you belong to. You may like to be more regular in your prayers, right? Especially with Ketu being here, because Ketu brings in that kind of energy. Then moving into the sign of Gemini. So if you have a Gemini ascendant, then Rahu is coming to your 10th house and the sign of Pisces, and Ketu comes to your 4th house. This is interesting because Rahu and Ketu come into the Kendra Bhavas, right? So when Rahu and Ketu come to the Kendras, that is when it becomes even more interesting, because Kendras are the pillars of our lives. And when Rahu and Ketu come here, wherever Rahu is, expansion comes. So your workplace opportunities, your career opportunities are on the rise. Now it's up to you how to grasp those opportunities. It's a very interesting transit for the Gemini ascendant, right? Especially for those people who are in the IT sector or who are doing work related to AI, etc. So something which is very new. We are dealing with technology, so maybe some new changes can come in. Some new skill sets can be acquired which help you rise in your career. So a good opportunity. You may do well with your bosses, you may do well with your superiors also. But remember, try to understand the intention of your bosses. Do not get used unnecessarily. Do not get stuck in any office politics, because again Rahu is here. Some kind of illusion will always be there. And on the other hand, we have Ketu in the 4th house. So Ketu in the 4th house can actually put a strain on your relationship with your mother, with your extended family. There could be some issues. Strain on mother's health or strain on somebody's health in the extended family. That is something which you have to see. Also, when we see the 4th house, we see here you could also, many of you, I'm sure, would do up your house, would do away with the old things, unused things in your house. And I think it is a kind of remedy also. With Ketu's energy in the 4th house, you should actually get rid of things which you don't use. So let go of things, clear out your house. Keep whatever is of utility, keep what is good looking, whatever is useful, whatever is working in a working condition. Keep only those items in your house. So do away with a lot of other unnecessary, unused items. Give them away, right? And with Rahu in the 10th house anyways, there might also be a chance for a lot of you to have foreign connections or make frequent foreign travels also. Some of you may also want to migrate out. So those possibilities are anyways coming up here if your natal chart also supports it, right? Then I move on to the next sign of Cancer. So if you have a Cancer ascendant, Rahu comes to your 9th house in the sign of Pisces, and Ketu comes into your 3rd house. Rahu in the trine is again a very important transit, especially in the 9th house, because 9th house is anyways a house of higher thinking, higher order thinking, higher education, your gurus, your teachers, travels, right? So Rahu can activate all these things. You may start thinking better and higher and think futuristically, right? Some of you may also like to acquire education related to something very offbeat, right? So learn things which are very different from your stream of work. Your travel can increase. You may also take up visits to holy places, pilgrimages, etc. Sorry. Right? So all these things can come. This can also bring in a good amount of intuitive ability. Rahu comes in the 9th house, and it obviously affects the planets in the trine also. So 1st house, 5th house, and the natal planets which it might cross over in the 9th. So intuitive ability, trying to understand what the future holds for you, trying to plan for the future, all these things is what Rahu will keep pulling you towards. But this is also a period to be mindful of how you behave with your father, with your teachers, with your gurus and mentors. Also stay away from any fake mentors or any guidance which doesn't mean well for you. Right? So stay away from the fake stuff is what I'm trying to say. On the other hand, Ketu in the 3rd house can make you cut down on your social media time. It can make you cut down on your unnecessary communication, the time you spend on the phone, the time you spend talking to people, and may make you go inwards, think deeply, learn more, right? It may also put a strain on your relationship with your younger sibling or with your neighbors. So these kind of things can also come up, right? So this is the energy which you have to balance when if you are of Cancer ascendant. Then moving on to the next sign of Leo. So if you're a Leo ascendant, Rahu comes into your 8th house, a Trit Bhava, so to say, and Ketu goes into your 2nd house. So Rahu in the 8th house actually amplifies the 8th house energy in a way, right? It amplifies the matters of joint finances, matters regarding your joint money, joint finances, your in-laws, right? So there could be some major events or major events or decisions regarding your in-laws family where you get sucked into. There could be inheritance matters which may come up for the Leo ascendant. Also, those of you who are into research, who are into astrology, etc., may find this as a very interesting time, right? So utilize this energy if you want to make sure that the negativity doesn't affect you. Try to understand things, try to go into depth in your subject matter as such. Try to get into some kind of a research, understand your own chart better, okay? Understand astrology, understand your the Vedic system which we have, understand our heritage, understand what we have all inherited from our forefathers, understand your roots, and it might prove to be a remedy for this particular energy which Rahu creates in the 8th house, right? Anyways, matters related to inheritance and your roots, all these things are anyways going to come up. Then Ketu in the 2nd house. Ketu, remember, is in the 2nd house of family, of finances, of wealth, your savings, your pocket. So this may be a time where some kind of changes regarding your wealth, regarding your the way you save, you may make changes regarding that, right? So you may want to change the way you have invested, you may like to change the way you are accumulating money for the future, or for some there might be a blockage in wealth creation. So if you are somebody with variable income, there might be some unpredictability in your income. right? So these kind of things can come. Some of you may also change their food habits. So if you were eating a particular kind of food, you may move to a different kind of food. You may change your food habits. You may like to make changes in your lifestyle, right? So these kind of changes can also happen. Those of you who are in the first cycle of Rahu and Ketu return, so say your natal Ketu is in the second house and Ketu is coming back on the transit, Ketu is coming over the natal Ketu. This may be a time where you move away from your family also for education purpose. Then moving on to the next sign of Virgo. So for Virgo, we see Ketu in the ascendant and Rahu in the 7th house in the sign of Pisces. So here, talking about Rahu first, Rahu gives you a lot of focus on relationships, partnerships, dealings, new agreements. There could also be a lot of pull towards the opposite gender. So you may want to interact with a lot of people. You may like to party out a lot also. And you may end up wasting a lot of time and energy there as well. Right? So wastage of energy towards too many public dealings, too many people dealings. Socializing is good, but over socializing sometimes, wasting your time, money, these things can also come. But those of you who want to utilize this energy well, this could be a time for understanding some new business, trying to see the opportunities to set up a new business, etc. But you've got to be careful. As I said about the social dealings also, you've got to be careful about who your partner is, what kind of business you're getting into. Wherever you sign over the dotted line, you've got to be extremely careful about where you're signing, what kind of agreements are you getting into. This may also lead to a period of dissatisfaction between you and your spouse. Right? Because Ketu is in the Lagna also. So sometimes some kind of dissatisfaction or criticism, self-criticism can happen. Ketu will do that in the Lagna. Self-criticism or trying to change themselves. So if you change yourself, it's good. But if you keep criticizing yourself and not do anything about it, especially with people in the second or the third Rahu Ketu return, this may bring a lot of stress in your relationship if it is not going on the right lines, right? So be careful about your marriage, be careful about your spouse, how you're dealing with your spouse. Ketu in the first house can bring in a lot of opportunity to transform yourself as well. So whether it is a change in your behavior, a change in the way you look, some kind of change will come and will stem basically from self-criticism. Right? Then I move on to the next sign of Libra. So now for Libra, Rahu and Ketu, Ketu is moving out of your first house. Ketu goes into your 12th house and Rahu comes into your 6th house. This is the only axis where both the Trik Bhavas are activated, right? So Rahu Ketu axis comes to the 6th and 12th houses. 6-12 axis is what we call it. So here there could be a lot of, with Rahu being in the 6th house, there could be a lot of emphasis on loans. You may want to take loans. You may want to increase your debts. But be careful here. Right? Be very careful. We do not get into any kind of a situation where you might regret, where you might find it difficult to go through your financial journey in future. So do not take up unnecessary loans. Stay away from any kind of risky investments, any kind of frauds, or any kind of random schemes which sometimes do the rounds. You've got to stay away, you've got to be vigilant. This is a time where you have to take care of your passwords and all those things. So any kind of any such situation you've got to avoid, right, regarding money. This may also bring conflicts from your maternal side, or sometimes your workplace colleagues also. So your maternal uncles and aunts might be a problem, might be a source of worry. There could be conflicts there. There could be family problems in that relationship. Workplace colleagues may also bring in some trouble sometimes. So this is a period to lie low, right? Do not get into any unnecessary disagreements. Do not do anything to increase your enemies, to increase your opponents, right? Then with Ketu in the 12th house, this is a very good opportunity, I would say, good time to focus on your spiritual growth, focus on your spiritual journey. So self-introspection, trying to understand your own talents. What can you do? Explore yourself. What can you do? What are your hidden talents which you can bring out? Right? So that is the kind of energy which Ketu will give here. Ketu may also block some major expenses which you might have made. Right, so 12th house is the Vyaya Bhava, and Ketu being here, that kind of a restriction or blockage may be there. So you want to spend something, you want to spend big on something, but you may not be able to spend. Right, so that kind of a situation can come. Maybe because of a lack of opportunity, or maybe where you want to spend, you're not able to do so because you've already spent a lot of money or wasted a lot of money somewhere else. So regarding your money, you've got to be careful. Ketu here in the 12th also enables you to let go of things which are toxic for you, which are not useful for you. Then moving on to the next sign of Scorpio. So if you're a Scorpio ascendant, then Rahu comes into your 5th house and Ketu goes into your 11th house. So the 5-11 axis gets activated. So Rahu being here, the focus comes to children, the focus comes to learning, acquiring new skills, upgrading yourself, using your creativity in unconventional manners, right? So thinking out of the box. And 5th house is anyways the house of creativity, of thinking, of bringing out solutions to a problem, giving advice to people. And on top of it, the sign of Pisces also comes here for you, for the Scorpio ascendant. So that energy is more easy. So here all these things become a little easier for you to do. Come into an advisory role. So all these things can come up. This is not a very great time to get into any kind of speculation, with Rahu being there in the 5th house. So avoid any kind of speculation, any gambling, anything which puts your assets to risk, which puts cash at risk. Do not do that, right? So good time to focus on your children, expand your creativity. Overall a good time from the Rahu perspective. Some of you may also want to have children during this time. So maybe plan a first or a second child, right? So if your natal chart supports it, if you're in your second cycle of Rahu return, then there's a high possibility for that as well, right? Then with Ketu in the 11th house, this also could somehow, put a restriction, as I said in the beginning, on your social circle, right? So you are so busy and absorbed in creating something for yourself, bringing out your own skills, upgrading yourself, that you do not have that much time for your social circle, for your friends, socializing so much, right? So Ketu can bring out that energy. Ketu can also, bring in some restriction or some blockage regarding your elder sibling. So you may not have, or you may kind of step back in your relationship with your elder sibling because of a disagreement or a conflict also. Right? Because Ketu is in the sign of Virgo in the 11th house. Right? So that was about Scorpio ascendant. Then moving on to the next ascendant of Sagittarius. So for Sagittarius, Rahu comes in your 4th house. Another important place. 4th house, as I said, the Kendra transits are always important. Whenever Rahu and Ketu come into the Kendra, those transits definitely have to be seen properly. So Rahu comes in your 4th house, Ketu goes into your 10th house. So here Rahu makes you pay focus on your intrinsic desires. What is it that you really want? There's a restlessness in you. And this restlessness may not let you sleep, may not let you rest. Or sit at peace, sit in peace. Right? So there's a restlessness, there is this disturbed energy most of the times. Right? And there's a lot of focus on your inner desires, what you want to do. So understanding yourself, understanding what you want to do during this period is very important. There'll be a lot of focus on your relationship with your mother. Your mother may, your relationship with your mother may improve also during this time. There's a lot of focus on property matters, immovable properties, on home decor, on changing things around you. So this is a period of change, of restlessness, and a very good way to get rid of this restlessness is actually to spend some time alone. Right? Go on a vacation, spend time near the ocean, go to the beaches. Rahu is in the sign of Pisces here. So wherever Rahu is, that placement itself can be the solution. So going outside, going into nature, going towards the beaches or going towards the mountains, spending time away, traveling alone, all these things can also bring you a lot of time to ponder over and think through a lot of things. Then with Ketu in the 10th house, there could also be a completion of a work cycle. So you may complete a particular, say a project, or your tenure in a particular organization may look at something new, and that is the reason for restlessness. You may want to move out of one role into the other role. So there's restlessness there. So work life as well as the domestic life, both undergo change. This is going to be a period of major decisions, and hence a period of restlessness and a lot of mental activity for the Sagittarius ascendant. Right? Then comes the Capricorn ascendant. So if you're a Capricorn ascendant, Rahu comes into your 3rd house and Ketu goes into your 9th house. Right? So Rahu here may put in a lot of emphasis towards growth opportunities, towards doing new things, taking up new initiatives, looking for new opportunities. Collaborate with your siblings also sometimes, or collaborate with people around you whom you've grown up with, your neighbors, long-time friends, childhood friends, etc. And this is a period of immense hard work. So whatever you're doing, whatever initiative you take, a lot of hard work is going to be required, a lot of moving around, a lot of movement is what is indicated. Then, especially with Ketu in the 9th house again, There could also be some strain on your relationship with your father, with your mentors, with your gurus, teachers. That is again something which you've got to be a little careful about, right? So the idea or the solution is to actually take help from your mentors and clear away the smoke which Rahu in the third house is creating. You'll get more clarity when you take help from your father, from your mentors, and then move ahead. Then utilize the opportunities which come to you. But this is all in all a very good time period to explore new, new areas, take up new ventures with the help of your mentors and guides, obviously. On to the next sign of Aquarius. So if you are an Aquarius ascendant, Rahu comes into your second house and Ketu goes to your 8th house. So your second and 8th axis gets activated. Now here there could be a lot of focus on money. Using money to get things done. Using money to handle conflicts in the family. Right? And that is how the focus is going to be. So family and finances, the focus is going to be here. How do you invest your money so that everybody is happy? How do you distribute your money so that everybody is happy? So distribution of wealth and the family factor, you've got to take everybody along. So that is going to be a major focus area. Food habits can change. With Rahu in the second house, usually I've seen that people take to totally different tastes altogether. Right? So suddenly, they were, eating proper, Punjabi food, butter naans and whatnot and all that every day. And they take a resolve and start on a vegan diet. Or something forces them to change something, so they become intolerant towards something, or they take up a totally different diet. There's so many diets available these days. So usually I've seen Rahu in the second house does that. So a lot of changes in food habits, changes in the way you manage your wealth also, in the way you manage your resources. Here, be careful about how you invest your money, how you invest your wealth, because Rahu, as I said, can put up a smoke screen. You may not be able to take the right decision. So take professional advice, take proper, buy-in from everybody in the family. Do not be secretive about money, especially where big transactions are involved. And with Ketu in the 8th house, again, the focus is going to be on joint assets, money, in-laws. So here the finance factor is very important here for the Aquarius ascendant. Ketu in the 8th house can also bring in a lot of, inheritance matters to the light. So there's a lot to deal, especially if you're in your second or your third cycle. Avoid lying within the family. So do not, play any kind of politics. Avoid any situation where, where you're not transparent with your family members. Then moving on to the next or the last ascendant of Pisces. So if you're a Pisces ascendant, Rahu comes into your first house, that is the ascendant, and Ketu goes into the 7th house. So here a lot of focus comes to you yourself. As I said in the beginning, wherever Rahu goes, the focus comes. So what are you? How do you look? How do you present yourself? Remember, Venus exalts in the sign of Pisces. Right? So a focus is going to be, there on how you are, how you're looking. Transformation, physical transformation of yourself is also what Rahu is going to bring out. And this could also put a lot of strain onto your relationships, especially your marriage. with Ketu being in the 7th house. Because Rahu Ketu, especially on this axis where Rahu is in the 1st and Ketu is in the 7th house, makes the individual pay a lot of attention to themselves or become very strong headed, and hence there's dissatisfaction with the spouse. So the spouse is dissatisfied, the spouse is not happy, there's a mismatch in your goals, right? So if you are in your second cycle, especially, that is if you are in your 30s, then please take care of this. Please take care of your marriage, please take care of the way your spouse also wants things. So collaborate rather than compete with your spouse, right? So spouse is an important part of your journey. Take your spouse's buy-in towards things, and do not take decisions which are only yours. Try to take joint decisions and go together on things, on major decisions. And this may also result into conflicts in your partnerships, in your business deals also. So Ketu in the 7th house usually creates that problem. This is not a very great time to get into a business deal, get into a partnership, etc. I would say this is also not a very great time to get married. So if you're in a relationship and you want to take things up and get married, I would suggest wait out for some more time, right? So that was all about all the 12 ascendants and what is Rahu Ketu bringing for all these 12 ascendants in this transit of 2023. And I'll see you soon in my next video. Till then, take care and God bless you.